This is the topic for this lesson, and these are all the different things that we're going to discuss, and in this order.
Cell division creates duplicate offspring in unicellular organisms and provides for growth, development, and repair in multicellular organisms. These processes require the exact duplication and equal division of the DNA, the genes. Examples of cell division range from binary fission in bacteria and other prokaryotes to mitosis followed by cytokinesis in eukaryotes. In asexual reproduction, a single individual produces offspring that are genetically identical to its.
This is a very cool water animal called a Daphnia, and look at those those are exact genetic copies of the parent inside the parent still. And that water animal is like a tiny little water animal that you could hold on the end of your finger, very small, but very cool.
Organisms can reproduce asexually by budding, fragmentation, binary fission, and spore production. Advantages of asexual reproduction are: it is rapid, it is practical for immobile organisms because it does not rely on outside forces such as wind or pollinating insects to permit pollination and reproduction, and it is one of the most efficient ways of perpetuating.
This is one type of asexual reproduction if we're listing types. Budding, where the organism grows out of the side. A second type of asexual reproduction is fragmentation. This is one that's worth paying attention to, and just watch the pictures as it shows the bacteria population doubling and then doubling again. So here we go.
Which organisms use the binary fission strategy?
Well, it only occurs in prokaryotes or bacteria. It starts with the DNA, a single bacterial chromosome, and this chromosome doubles through replication.
Then the double genes partition and a new crosswell forms. Then the cells separate, and if there isn't cell separation, chains of cells form.
Yeah, and this is quite different from the process of cell division in eukaryotes.
One thing about asexual reproduction is that the offspring are always exact genetic copies. So a disadvantage of this is that there's no variety. Now we're on to sexual reproduction, and the strength of sexual reproduction is variety. As you see, a unique combination of genes from two parents. So here you see, what is independent assortment? That is in meiosis. This is how we get variation when the maternal chromosomes might go one way or the other way, depending on how they lined up. Crossing over adds to variation, and the fact that sexually reproducing organisms find random mating. So there's random fertilization. This sperm cell could unite with this egg cell, but it's just random as to which one gets chosen. So there's a lot of variation possible. This is the first type of sexual life cycle that I would like you to copy down. And you could put beside this one, after you're finished copying it down, say, example, humans. This is the type of sexual life cycle humans undergo. And you'll notice here, you're not going to be asked on the test to reproduce a life cycle necessarily, but you will be asked to say, like, if the words fertilization and meiosis were missing from this diagram, would you be able to tell that that was what must have been happening there? And you should be able to, because fertilization will always double the chromosome number, and meiosis will always cut the chromosome number in half. Mitosis will always keep the chromosome number the same. This is the second type of life cycle, and you can put beside this one, if you just quickly sketch it, you could put beside this one, this is the way fungi reproduce, and notice what's unusual. You get a multicellular haploid stage, and the diploid stage is only the zygote. That's it. That's the only diploid stage. And again, what's important here is not that you on a test be able to reproduce a life cycle. What's important is that you recognize what process must be occurring at each stage of the life cycle. This life cycle is what many plants, like the spruce tree in your front yard or the pine trees, will undergo, and it's called alternation of generations. And you notice that there is a fertilization process, pollen and an egg of some sort, and then it forms a zygote, which becomes a seed, which then grows into a tree by mitosis. But then the tree will do meiosis and produce cones. And the spruce tree will produce male cones and female cones. The female cones in spruce trees tend to be at the very top of the tree. The male cones that produce all that yellow pollen you see in the spring that makes you sneeze are at the bottom of the tree. And those are multicellular, haploid parts of the tree. And then the pollen gets together with the cone and produces seeds, which then will fall to the ground and new trees can grow. This is called alternation of generations.